Hello, my name is Nico, and today we'll be having a discussion about the poem The Garden of Love by William Blank. Join with me is our guest,
Jose,
Luis,
Addison,
and our sound engineer.
Matty.
Our first question is about the background of the poem. How does the background of the author and time period affect the message and theme of the poem?
William Blake's background provides a deeper meaning to the text by his interpersonal experience being associated with the meaning of the poem as well. This further allows the reader to engage in the poem on many different levels, considering Blake's personal beliefs and during that time period of religious reform.
William's background helps us understand the meaning behind this poem by showing how his creativity is his freedom, and it helps show why he doesn't really want any religion getting in his way of that creativity.
Our next topic is about the symbolism of the poem. Our question is, what does the imagery throughout the poem symbolize regarding religious constrictions in society?
Well, I personally think that the garden is one of the biggest pieces of symbolism because it represents innocence, joy, but it also represents freedom. And I also think that it could represent love too, because the chapel can represent oppressive religion and restrictions on one and what they're free to believe in. But I think that these symbols ultimately they convey the traumatic effects that the structure of an institutional religion on personal freedom can have, but also on one's human impulses.
I like what Addison said about the poem, and I agree with the flowers and tombstones being that contrast in the story. I feel like the flowers are more of a representation of his creativity and his art. And I feel like when the chapel is built, that's when the creativity dies because the tombstones replace the flowers. And that's what I think that the tombstones are there for, to contrast it.
Our next question is about the theme, and our question is, regarding the theme of the poem, how does it make this poem relevant even today now? Why is it timeless?
I think this poem is timeless because it really shows how our religion is such a big thing now. Even in schools, they want to force religion on us when really it shouldn't be just one religion that trumps over all. We should all have our freedoms, and we should all be able to believe in what we want to believe.
Also, I feel like I can add in here with my own input because with my own story, I feel like ever since I was a kid, I never truly felt too connected to a religion. And from that, I always felt a bit more true to myself, a lot more free. You know, I was forced to go to Sunday school, church school, and I just never connected with their ways of living, per se. It seemed very by the books. You got to do this, and then you can feel some sort of fulfillment. When personally, I believe, I feel like as myself, I can just go through the motions, figure out those feelings I have to feel in order to be happy, as the day goes by. And I feel like that relates to the poem and how, when the speaker turns around from the chapel, everything, it just goes down. Everything just blacks out. Things are a lot more mellow. It's a lot more dark, and I feel like it's kind of like that in today's society, right? People are so bogged down by religion, and they're forcing themselves to be happy. They have to force themselves to follow these rules in order to live this life. When really it's just not. You just gotta vibe with yourself. You gotta vibe with the environment around you. I that's why I think this poem is it's timeless in that manner, because it allows the reader to look into themselves and be like, oh, I can do this without being bogged down by religion.
And some people don't like what they grew up with. Like, they don't agree with what others believe, and sometimes they feel like whatever they grow up with doesn't allow them to do what they wanted to do and a lot of people grow away from that.
Thank you for these responses. This will conclude our in-depth discussion about the Garden of Love with our guests,
Addison,
Jose,
Luis.
and once again, our sound engineer,
Matty.
Thank you and goodbye.